education. Taylor, would you introduce yourself and
Sure.
tell us what you do for DOE?
Sure. Well, I am the English and History Specialist at VDOE in the Office of Humanities. But as part of that, obviously it's a pretty interdisciplinary sounding job, but one of my responsibilities and one of the things that since I started in January I've really loved doing is outreach with our awesome museum community. So that's what brings me here today.
Great. So one of the things on museum minds is the push from DOE to do more performance assessments. Can you explain that process a little bit and how that's working?
Yeah, so I mean, for the uninitiated, a performance assessment is any academic task that requires students to respond to some sort of prompt or problem. It can be very simple, from here's a museum document, respond to it in some way, answer this question in some way, all the way up to a 9 weeks long project-based learning opportunity. So where museums really come into that for us, at least in our mind, is in the vast amount of resources that the museum community has for teachers. Textbooks can only go so far, and especially as we get more technology oriented throughout the Commonwealth, we see a lot of divisions that aren't even doing textbooks. So the question becomes, if you're having students respond to prompts or have the stimulus to create something, which is really what performance assessment is all about, and to practice academic skills, we've got to find resources for them to do that with. And what better than the primary source collections that we have here in the Commonwealth, but also museum visits. So students can go and gather that information there and then take that back to their classrooms and do something with it.
So the upshot is that by getting rid of the SOL, some of the SOL testing, it could actually help with museum visits because students need to be working on primary documents in order to get their performance assessments.
Sure, yeah, and it's not even just in history. I mean, history is obviously, I think, in a lot of ways one of the more natural fits because that document-based question thing is so strongly embedded. And students people who have been taking AP classes, and really a history instruction across the state is so strong that our students have been doing document-based questions for a really long time. But it's not going to be the kind of thing that you have to make time for anymore. But across the board in English, divisions have the authority now to verify credits in writing via more of a writing portfolio approach, and there are needs for prompts and things that are engaging and things that students are going to want to write about, and what better than these institutions that are right there in their communities, whether from a local historical society to a larger institution like the VMFA or VMAC. There's so many options there for students to really dive in and use what our museums have to offer.
So in your mind, what kind of recommendations or how could museum educators work most closely with teachers to make this happen? How could they be most helpful?
Yeah, so I think there are two major approaches that organizations can take, and I think the best part of that is that you can kind of tailor it to the size of the organization, right? So a larger organization with a really huge online presence, it's just about making those resources available. You have this incredible this rich amount of stuff digitized, making it searchable by standard so that teachers can get their hands on it, and then publicizing that with teachers. Because they're going to be out there, and we know that 9 o'clock on a Sunday, and you're working on plans for Tuesday, teachers are going to go online, and we'd much rather them go to one of your organizations than to Pinterest, frankly, to find that work. So that's one option. If you already have a very large online footprint, it's just about making it available for teachers.
In a way they can access
in a way that
easily.
they can access easily, exactly. But for especially some of our smaller organizations, particularly those that are in smaller school divisions, I think one way that museums can really fill a vital role is just by offering up that space for teachers to work together.